This was so fun. I kind of love this event. My best time was this one, the Twilight. You're really good, thank you! Beto Burst actually more designed around sub DPS support, so pop it when a swap over, and then swap over to your DPS character. Ooh, that makes sense. I did well, thank you! Oh my gosh, that was so fun. Wait, successfully complete Dire Cliff Court. Oh. Apex Hostility. Guys, do I have to do Apex Hostility now? Yeah, someone told me to do the Stern one. You don't really build characters, so it's just for money and stuff. Ugh. Hero's wit is so important, though. Do we get a bow? Fading Twilight. Radiance of the Deep has 3 states. Even Gleam, Afterglow, and Dawn Blaze, which increase damage dealt by 6, 10, and 14% respectively. When attacks hit opponents, this weapon will switch to the next state. This weapon can change states once every 7 seconds. The character equipping this weapon can still trigger the state switched while not on the field. Energy Recharge Bow? A precious bow made of platinum, inlaid with an orb that shimmers with the light of eventide. The bow has a story? Shall I read the story? And its refinements? Why are they so nice to us? Boyoverse, I love you. What the mug? A stone that gives off a strange radiance. It can only be found in a separate part of the chasm, and its origins and composition are both unknown. However, it has strange and unique properties. When it falls, it maintains a regular shape, and its cross-section still keeps its mirrored sheen. Those of these rocks that are older may have witnessed that ancient battle. These stones can be exchanged for treasures during Perilous trial. Moonlit Cragstone. Ooh. Genshin do be liking the word inlaid. I like that word too. Those are for the event shop. Ooh, this is so cool. Cause you can use the bow with Yelan, who is available now for people like me who don't want to go for a weapon banner. That's so kind of them. Kind of wish there was a lore on who we're given these event items to. A lore on who we're giving these event items to. What do you mean? Like the stones? They gave us so many stones. What's this? Glowing gem, specialized refinement material for fading twilight. Core lapis delicately refined by ancient arts practiced by the early inhabitants of the chasm. It glimmers slightly with a light that resembles either the radiance of dawn or the dying twilight, appearing in caverns where none may ever wait. Oh my gosh, I lost it. Appearing in caverns where none may see either form of light. It must have brought some small comfort to those who fought against the dark enemy. I love how they write these things. Thank you, Hoyoverse. MiHoyo, we love you. Guys, this was such a fun event. I'm not even kidding. There's so many rewards. A reward on the road. I'll keep this close. Is this an answer from this world? Careful. Could be a trap. Oh, then never mind. Favonius Warbow is better on her. On Yelan? I'm still debating Xiao, guys. I'm still debating Xiao. You collect these? Wait, Ayato says that? My boy, what kind of a... Are we peasants? Also, can we just appreciate the art? Please. Look at these beautiful, intelligent, brilliant women. Look at these absolutely hilarious and strong and loyal friends. Look at our heartfelt, persevering, lonely Yaksha. And look at all the friends who helped us survive the perilous trials of the chasm. No Ushi art. Ushi is always in our heart, so he's not in the art. See what I did there? 7 out of 10? Avenger shot. It is the Avenger shot. I adored this event. This was so cool. I don't know if I can push myself to do Apex Hostility. Just because I don't have built characters. But there's still 20 hours, so we'll see. We'll see. Can we test run these characters? We still have 2 days, 10 hours for that. Sorry, I'm checking my messages right now. La da da da. Do 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 do. All right. Guys, we got so much cool stuff. And had fun. That was like the most important part for me. I forgot about the rewards. I was having too much fun. Oh my goodness. We did it, chat. Yes, it was last minute. But there's something about the rush of having fun at last minute, right? What's this? Oh, this is the drumming event. Gain a total of 12 stars in the Spiral Abyss. Oh, I've never done that. Have I? I think I've done it once. It's all about the rush. To HOD. What are all these letters? That's what my two Genshin friends are using. Heart of Depths and the even of San Francisco. The evening of San Francisco. What's EOSF? Emblem of Severed Fate. That would make more sense than whatever I said. Oh my goodness. Emblem. See, I know that word. We have 17k plus 5 primos. I mean, not primos, fates. Our vigilant Yaksha, what do I do with you? Everlasting omelet, scorching fantastic. Event shop. Oh, that's right. Event shop. Event shop. I should do that. We get a crown? Hi, Sid. How are you? It's good to see you again. They gave us a crown and another glowing gem. Plus all of these refinement materials and books. I swear, if any of you complain, I will fight you. Oh my gosh. Miss the story quest? Yeah, I did the story quest yesterday, but the VOD is up. So if you would like to see our journey through the story quest, you can go watch the VOD from yesterday. It was a journey and a half, and I adored every second of it. I don't think people ever complain about event rewards. They better not. They better not. Guys, we have 7 crowns now. 7 is our lucky number. Oops, I should have just got both. Lustrous stone. Can I afford all this? I can, right? Probably my favorite quest after Shunha. It's so amazing. I literally, like, amazing is not even the word I want to use. I don't have words for the experience of yesterday. I literally have no words. Look at all these ascension materials, chat. After watching that cutscene like 4 times, it still makes me cry. I watched it again. We raided, what was their name? Perilous, I believe was their name. And they were just getting to the cutscene. Like when we raided, they had just, you know, done Lumine, you know what I'm talking about? And then they were getting to the cutscene, the first cutscene, and I cried again. And then the other cutscene, and then I cried again. Just from watching the person we raided. Oh my goodness. But honestly, I was saying this yesterday, a story that can stir your emotions is a story very well written, very well thought out. And in terms of visuals and development of the game, like what you see when the story is progressing, also brilliantly done. I was like holding my breath, you know what I mean? When I was going to talk more about it, talk more about what? Oh, yesterday's experience? Yeah. I was holding my breath. Like, legitimately. I know you guys were telling me to breathe. You guys tell me to breathe all the time. But there was actually a moment yesterday in that cutscene where I thought for a second they were actually going to pull something heavy. Heavier than what was already happening. And I think what really broke me in that moment was the fact that it didn't happen. What I thought might happen didn't happen. Am I allowed to say? I did it yesterday. I don't want to spoil for people who haven't done it, but since we did it yesterday, is it okay for me to, like, say it? Chat? Or would you like me to, you know, keep not saying it? I feel like most of you have probably done the new Archon quest, right? There it is, the last of it. Yes, I'm allowed to? Okay. I'll do it then. That's all the rewards. They give us so many rewards. We are not worthy, Hoyoverse. We are not worthy of your kindness. It's your channel? Alright. It's okay to say it? Okay. So in yesterday's cutscene, we all know, you know, Xiao was using all of his energy to get us out. If somebody has not played it, you should not watch the stream.
There is
Yeah,
still
if you
a
haven't
lot
played
left
it,
to do.
you can mute for a second, and I'll give you like a thumbs up when you can listen again. Anyways, when Xiao was channeling all of his energy, as you just said, into helping us, you know, get out with the... Hold on. I'm gonna bring Lumine out because she doesn't talk.
There's still a long road ahead.
Thanks. Okay. When Zhao was using all of his energy to get us out, it struck me the talk that we had before in the chasm where he said he was going to use every last drop of his energy to sacrifice himself. And as he was draining and he put his mask back on, even though he was drained, I was like, this man is actually going to do what he said he was going to do. He's going to sacrifice himself. And, oh, I don't want to get emotional again. But you can tell in that moment when Yelan realizes it. Like it clicks. And she reaches out, but it's too late. For me, it wasn't about the fact that he didn't die. For a second, I thought Hoyoverse would pull like a Square Enix and actually, you know, take Xiao out. For me, that's not what made me cry and break. You know, the fear of losing Xiao. It was the act of him choosing to do that. Despite the conversation that was had, and the fact that it was his choice anyways, that's what broke me. That he, after everything, I'm gonna get emotional again. That he would still choose to give his life for us. And I think it came full circle with him discovering what happened to his old Yaksha buddy, his brother, you know. I also thought it was gonna be bye-bye for Xiao since a lot of YouTube videos had stuff like Xiao sacrifice in the name. I'm staying away from YouTube till I do my quests. Yeah, I don't watch YouTube videos, especially since I haven't done a lot of stuff. One thing that was conveyed really well was how infinitely deep that in-between space was, and the sudden escalation in speed further conveying just how horrible the situation was, yes. Seemed pretty determined to follow through on what he said no matter what. What broke me was the fact that Zhongli saved him. I don't know why that hit me so hard. That also got me. The fact that Zhongli... You guys know how I feel about Zhongli's presence. And the small warning that he gave, like, you know this is dangerous, and you still choose to go. He knew what Xiao needed to do, but he wasn't going to leave him alone. Hot take, but they should have actually let him do it. Vlad, I'll float you. But they did. The point is, actually, they did let Xiao do it. It's not like he didn't commit to his choice. Zhao 100% committed to the choice of sacrificing himself. Like, he 100% was like, this is it. I'm saving my friends. I'm saving these people. And I'm sacrificing myself. So Zhao did it. 100%. His sacrifice was given. But Zhongli came and saved him. So at the end of the day, Zhao did exactly what he said he was going to do. So to me, it still was, what's the word? It still was powerful and meaningful, because if Zhongli hadn't shown up, that would have been it. No lasting consequences? I don't know. I think in terms of him living, yeah, sure, there was no consequence of his death, but I think there was a consequence of everyone in that group will forever remember that Zhao was going to give his life for them. And Zhao will forever remember that he was willing to do it for others. Just like his other brother Yaksha. I can't remember his name. Bozacious? Was that his name? So in a way, he kind of was mirroring his brother. They were gonna keep him in the domain till like a rerun of the event or something. I'm sure there's a reason why they let Xiao live. The whole Lie plotline so far is about Adepti, Zhongli included, learning to live after Lie is in the hands of humans. Xiao dying would accomplish nothing in terms of world building. It would be short-term shock value for the sake of shock. I just don't like that they wrote Zhongli in last minute. It was a rushed solution. I don't think it was last minute. Especially because they added that moment of prior to Zhao leaving to go to the chasm, Zhongli and him met. Hi, Ronnie! I see we're talking about the quest. Yes. That's what happened. Zhongli knew about the travel. Exactly. He let it happen because he wanted Zhao and the others to learn the truth. Zhongli can't say it directly because of his contract. If there was more foreshadowing regarding Zhongli being relevant in the quest, I would find it more believable from the narrative. But that's what the whole backstory was. That small clip, or that small scene of them meeting at the inn. It was a flashback. I know you guys want foreshadowing of it, but for me as a writer, sometimes that unexpected short moment has more power. Oh, Yasumi Digits BB. Happy Sayu Ito sleeps. Take care. I mean, I see where you guys are coming from. I'm not arguing that I'm right and you're wrong. This is not the conversation we're having. I am very happy that you guys are sharing your perspectives. I'm just sharing my own perspective. So no one is right or wrong in this conversation. Just want to make that clear, okay? I like your perspective, and I can completely understand where you guys are coming from. I'm just sharing my counter perspective, but not saying that I'm right. Who knows when spirit nightmares might roam to Vatican? Oh no. Genshin already has a lot of foreshadowing anyways. I swear the sleeps will encompass every character in the game eventually. We're all just gonna pass out. It's fine. There's no impact with Zhongli just appearing to then save him for me. Zhongli denying that he was there also means that he can't say why he did what he did for some reason. Interesting. If someone dies in the future, there will be questions of why didn't Zhongli show up out of nowhere again to save them? Because there's probably not a purpose for it. Or a meaning. And then that moment, when that character, if a character does die in that moment, that's just the way the fates roll. and it'll be a powerful moment. Stu, thanks for the follow. I mean, not the follow, the hydrate. What am I saying? My brain is off. Just prefer things being set up a little more neatly. It's Xiao's story, no doubt. I live for the setup, especially for rewatch value. That's why I think there's a deeper reason why Xiao is allowed to live longer. Maybe others aren't, who knows. I have nothing to add other than the event was enjoyable and I lost it at General Alatus Fall in. Oh my gosh, Ronnie. Same. Absolutely, Ronnie. It's a good story. Moni, hi! I don't like shock value scenes for the sake of shock value scenes. I don't think they work well in world-building stories. Hi, Stu. I'm a new follower. No, you've been here and I appreciate you. I see where you guys are coming from. From the perspective of a writer, there is definitely... how can I say this? There is value in the foreshadowing and the building of a story where you know certain premises that lead to the next, and then by the end of it you connect all of it together. So it's kind of like a linear storytelling, which is not what was done here. And I think it fits, at least for me, it fits that there was a small moment of flashback between Xiao and Zhongli, because there was a lot of time traveling, space-time continuum being intertwined within the story, that nothing was linear about what was happening in this story. We were going back and forth in time. Xiao was trying to go back to find someone from the past. And so was Yanfei with the will, right? And it was all connected. And so was Yelan. It was all about going back to the past in order to move into the future. So I think that short moment of going back to the point where Xiao tries to get Zhongli's approval and then going back into the moment of him trying to make this sacrifice. And Zhongli coming in, knowing that it was dangerous and kind of, you know, I had my eye on you. I wasn't going to leave you alone this entire time. Kind of a moment. That kind of, you know what I mean? Does that make sense? The story makes sense just fine. It could just be tied up more, especially with Zhongli serving a pretty significant role in saving Zhao's life. I think that moment itself was the significance. It didn't need to be said like, hey, if you're ever in trouble, I will go save you. I think it was kind of assumed that Zhongli was always caretaker for Xiao, right? Xiao and Zhongli have a history, and I'm sure Zhongli can't just let him go yet, so he's important for him, and he knew what his yaksha was about to do. For me, it's amazing that Zhongli came for his rescue. I'm kind of with Weena there. That's kind of what I'm trying to say. There was another way, at least two. Either involve Zhongli earlier or have the others save him somehow, or maybe even Bozacious somehow. I'm against the Bozacious saving him, because Bozacious made his sacrifice as well. So Zhao's sacrifice was mirroring that, but I think Zhongli didn't want that to happen. I think you guys would have wanted... Correct me if I'm wrong. I think you guys would have wanted the short moment of Xiao and Zhongli meeting at the beginning of the story instead of at the cutscene. Would that have made it better? Is it the fact that it was a flashback and not a foreshadowing thing? Is that what is happening? Zhongli wasn't involved though. Zhongli always is there for the people he cares for. Zhao being a very special person to him. I mean, him shown things ahead of time, not 5 seconds before his fall. I wrote a thing earlier. Hold on, I am missing some chat, aren't I? The point is what Vlad said, having him fit naturally. I think it did fit naturally. At least for me, he did fit naturally. If for some reason they foreshadowed Zhongli instead of Kaya and Klee, just for comedic effect, well, that wouldn't make any sense. They're in Liyue. And Zhongli has a history with the battles in the Yaksha and the Chasm. Red Snapper, thanks for the follow. Bye, Creamster. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for experiencing this with us. You are awesome. I appreciate you. Have to agree to disagree. It's all about preferences here. Yeah, absolutely. Like, I don't think there's a right answer, and I'm just saying my side, and I honestly really appreciate you guys sharing your side. It totally, to me, it makes sense the way you would want something a little bit more linear. To have Zhongli come in sooner instead of this, like, oh my gosh, it's Zhongli moment. For me, Zhongli coming in that cutscene and then saving him at the end, that was the only connection needed for me. Because for me, the history of their relationship and the history of Zhongli being Rex Lapis was like, it all just blended together, and all we needed was that short time. But I understand the need for a more linear build-up or information prior to the foreshadowing instead of the flashback. Kaya and Klee had no reason to be brought up in the Chasm World Quest, but they did for the lulz. Yeah, but that was a little different. And they didn't actually show up. Plus, that was like a moment of the, you know, Mondstadt coming in with the Adventurers Guild thing. Considering that A's quest is similar, she couldn't save the Kitsune because she wasn't in Inazuma, just like Zhongli couldn't save Bosacius because he was away. And now we're at the present and they both decide a change is needed and the Archons might be in the wrong. Ooh, wait, that's kind of a deeper perspective of this. They could have brought in Zhongli instead. Not a fan of the word linear, but I know what you mean. When I say linear, I just mean like, instead of having flashbacks bring in information that could have been brought in, you know, at the beginning and then build up from there, instead of like the back and forth, like the swinging of a pendulum of time, is what I mean by linear. The idea of Zhongli wouldn't let the last Yaksha die easily is really attractive plot development to me. Yeah, and that to me makes total sense. Even Zhongli said it was dangerous and you still choose to go? To me, that was like, ooh. Zhongli's not going to stop Xiao from going, but that's not going to stop Zhongli from keeping an eye on him and making sure that he's okay. The whole point of this was Xiao finally getting closure for what happened to Bosacius. Yelan finding out what happened to her ancestor. Yanfei, you know, finding this will that, you know, was connected to it all. or the compass in the will that was connected to it all. Ito and Shinobu, you know, of course, wanting to repay the debt of Yanfei saving them, and then we all get stuck together. The way that things affected Paimon as well while she was down there, it's just all these little effects, you know? And so, of course, things were back and forth. Space and time was all out of loop. So I think there was a powerful use of that flashback moment instead of foreshadowing technique. But I understand where you guys are coming from. The biggest gripe of what I consider a really good Archon event story, which makes sense. And we may not agree on this, and that's completely fine. And I think what's really good about this story is the fact that we can have this conversation. The fact that we can sit here and think about, why didn't they foreshadow? Why didn't they tell us this earlier? Why didn't he come in earlier? Why did they use a flashback? Instead of, we finish the story and that's that, we don't talk about it anymore. Good story, on to the next one. So the fact that we can have this in-depth conversation on, hey, my perspective is this and I wish they would have done this, and yet I still enjoyed it. And then I'm over here saying, well, I actually liked that they did this and here is why, but I understand your perspective. This community is so lucky that in this moment Genshin exists and that this community is here together, that we can have all of this. And we're having these conversations, and honestly, this kind of makes me feel emotional that we can talk about this, you know? And I'm so grateful that we can. So I appreciate you guys. Traveler and sibling probably sent to check up on the world. SOHP, not too happy, and doesn't let them report back. What's SOHP? I don't know what that is. I think it was very natural, considering... Oh wait, I already read this. Sorry, I'm just going back through chat, make sure I didn't miss on something, because I really like you guys' different perspectives on this. It's so easy to read a story, watch a story, play a game with a story, and to be stuck on your very own perspective. I think that's great, to have your own thoughts and reflections. But what I love about this community is that we can share our different perspectives and what we enjoy that's the same. Alright, I think I read all of this. Making sure I didn't miss something. The unknown god. Oh, okay. I love the storytelling in this game because it reminds me of how fantasy books are written. The scope is huge, but at the same time, it's a game, yes. It was about the group learning. Zhongli even calls a traveler a witness for a reason. It fits so well with the first story quest. Spirited, I am with you. Ito and Cookie and Ushi just vibing out. Ushi rolling around and telling Ito what was being said was actually gold. I love that. They were there to lighten everything up a bit, in my opinion. I think the moments where we got those laughter were like, okay, they're making us laugh because something is about to hit the feels. And then it did, and then we get little slight moments of laughter between that to kind of lighten and help get through, you know? Travelers were sent by someone? Hi, Higan, how are you? I love Ushi when he vibes on everything. Facts. And Ito, can we talk about Ito Paimon arguing with each other? But also being very, very caring towards each other? I think that says something about there was never any we know there was never any ill intent behind their banter. They were just messing around. And I think those small moments of just comforting care were really sweet. And I loved to see it. Ito is Ushi's Paimon. Yes. I like those parts because it was like a pause from the drama of everything crashing down on them. It was so necessary. And I saw a lot of people on Twitter saying that they... what's the word? They didn't like the fact that Ito was just used as comedic effect. I don't think that's the case at all. Ito does have comedic value to him. But now that we know Ito more, I think that's just a gem of his personality, but the other gems are that he's caring. Yeah, sometimes his head is a little empty, but that just leaves room for him to try different things and move forward in the story. If Ito hadn't made that hole in the wall, we would have never gone out. If Ito didn't try to open the door first, we would have never realized, hey, you know, something's going on with this weird door that shows us different things. You know what I mean? It's like a filler episode. Sometimes you just need a break from the drama. Small filler moments. Ito is true to himself, and that's what makes him unique, yes. If they took it out, he wouldn't be Ito, facts. Ito has a huge heart, and he's shown that again in the quest, yes. His head may be empty, but that doesn't mean that he can't put things in it. That's what I'm saying. Actually expand on him right now? Yeah, I honestly think this was character development for Ito. For all of them. Was he comedic? Sure. Ito's funny. We all know that, and he brightens our days, even in the darkest pits of a chasm, you know? But they built on Ito's character, they developed him really well in this quest. So I agree. Ito's head's empty to make his heart full. Oh, Ronnie. True. Other than Paimon, I mean. Wait, I missed what you said. Ito definitely could have been less aggressive and more expressive towards the caring side in his dialogue. Other than towards Paimon, I mean. I don't think so, because... I mean, yes and no. And how can I word this? I think it's because Ito likes to play that he's the boss, he's the strong one. And I think there are moments where he doesn't want to fully just be mushy-gushy, you know? He shows his caring by taking action, not through words and dialogue. So the fact that he was saying those sweet things about, oh, poor thing, and Paimon's not looking too well, you know, she's out, while she was sleeping, and then getting startled by the fact that Traveler heard him, said a lot about how he thinks to himself and to Ushi, but he shows his caring through actions. Like, he has these thoughts and words, but he doesn't openly share them. He likes to do that through action. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. Also wondering if Ito's saying that what Ushi said at the end is not just Ito saying what's on his mind. Spirited Harvest. Wait. That's kind of true. Honestly, I can't see this event with other characters. They all fit so good in this event, and if one of them got replaced, it wouldn't be the same. Fact. They all brought something very different to this. That we'll never know. Yeah, I like that thinking. We'll never know if it was actually Ushi and he can understand Ushi, or if it's Ito finding a way to express those thoughts. Like I said, express those thoughts, but saying there's somebody else's, so that is like I'm all action, somebody else is the mushy emotions, you know? Kind of lead by example type. It's not perfect, but his intentions are pure. More bravado than emotions before he got knocked out. But I also prefer mushy emotions on the tough characters before the actions. I agree. I do prefer some characters to have mushy, but I think that doesn't fit who Ito is. Openly. I think that is who he is in private to himself, but I think openly it fits that he would try to hide the mushier, you know, words of affirmation and caring. And he'd rather channel that through, you know. Yeah. I want there to be a Genshin character who just understands all the buddies, Guoba, Ushi, etc. Me too. I hope Grace watched a Moon Chase story one day. It's so sweet too. Moon Chase? This is private though? What's private? Someone who has a sort of all-speak parcel tongue? They're literally stuck in the chasm. If this was public, for sure he wouldn't. Well, what I mean by private and public is there's like private and public in the general sense of others, and then there's what's private and public for yourself. Like there are things that you keep inside yourself that you wouldn't say even just like to one person. You kind of just keep it to yourself. Or you might only have that one person, like maybe Ushi is the one he says these things to. And then there's like private, like outside circle. I love Fischl and Oz dynamic. I want to see more of them. But yeah, to Ito, it might still be public to say these things to like anybody. Like, does Kuki Shinobu ever hear Ito saying these mushy things? She might. We don't necessarily know that, but she seems to understand him a lot, so maybe she's heard him before. But she knows that he's not the type to say those things out loud. Or to think that he says them out loud in moments where he thinks he's not being heard. For being a life and death situation, which he clearly thought it was to use all his strength, you would think he wouldn't mind gushing about emotions a little more. I don't think Ito would change in that moment. I think he would stay true to himself and to the end. To him, showing that he cared was that action of using all his strength. So in the whispers to Ushi about caring for Paimon and Zhao and everyone, there was that, and then there was him showing that he cared by using all his strength. And I think that was the moment, you know? I wish Horrorverse would rerun events. I would love to actually play Unreconciled Stars. I need to go watch all of these things. Hi, Aliris! It's good to see you. Ito is more about the things he's doing instead of saying stuff out loud. He gave his all for the others, and that shows all of his emotions. Just my opinion, though. I agree with Weena. I think even in a life and death situation that they were in, Ito wouldn't just be like, well, this is it. I guess I'm about to spill my heart. Instead, he spilled all of his strength for everybody. Which is very true to who he is. Does that make sense? Guys, I love that we're having these conversations, and I love that there are different perspectives of this. Also biased because Max plays Ryuji, who can actually talk about his emotions properly. Yes, but that, I can understand the bias there. That is a completely different character, though. But yes, I can understand where that would blend, and you would want a little bit more of Ryuji to come through in Ito. And who knows? Maybe one day we'll see that. You know? Because Ito's been caught saying these sweet things in the chasm. Maybe he's gonna, you know, start saying a little bit more. We don't know. Unrelated, but I saw someone mention how the characters in the event represent each element of the yakshas. Geo, Yaksha, Ito, Electro, Shinobu, Pyro, Yanfei, Hydro, Yelan, and I— oh, wait, Ronnie, I didn't even think about that. But you're right. Wait, holy mug. That totally just whoosh went over my head. What the mug? I love that. Ito being headstrong like he is and Cookie being composed and very tactful is actually a very good combination. Fact. Can't wait for Cookie's hangout. I can't wait to meet her more. She was not what I expected. I expected her to be very closed off and like silent type. But she was very, very vocal and outspoken, and she has a great personality, and I love her. Also don't know about Ryuji and how similar he is to Ito. Yeah, but they're still different characters. People can have similarities, but at the end of the day, they're gonna stay true to who they are. Even though they have the same person voicing them in English. Not unrelated, it was by design. Yes, Ronnie, it fit the conversation. I find it disappointing when two similar characters who end up in similar situations don't react similarly enough, but everyone, even twins, I believe even twins thrown into a similar situation, even though they might have the same personalities, they might, you know, most of the time think the same way, I believe that they are individuals and will think in different things and choose different things. Their own paths are different. Grace, who knows Ryuji better, us or you? You guys. But all I'm saying is Ryuji could literally be Ito, and Ito could be Ryuji, and they could be literally the same person, same voice, same actions, get thrown into the chasm together. And I still think they would stay true to who they are and be different. I think Ito is not the kind to just get mushy to everybody, even in life or death. That's not the way the character is written. Even though Ryuji, who is very similar and could be very much the same to Ito, but there's something about Ryuji that makes him more open to sharing his emotions, whereas Ito will share his emotions through his actions. And quietly, to himself and Ushi. Why would they not react similar? Because they're two different people. They are two different people. Like I said, twins can have the same personality and be thrown in the same situation, but I think they will still be A and B. They're not clones, you know. Plus, somebody else is writing the Ryuji story, and somebody else is writing the Ito story, and they want Ito to share his emotions through the actions. His love language is actions for others, whereas Ryuji's might be, you know, communicative love language. Staying true to oneself is a matter of opinion after all. I could see that. Because it varies from individual to individual, yes. Well, just countering your point of them not being so similar, I agree that they would not necessarily react the same way. Same is not similar. They would react differently, but if they are that similar, their reactions will be similar, not same, but not different either. True. Their reactions, okay, so let's say their reactions would be similar. I think both Ryuji and Ito share their emotions. This is fact. Okay? Similar personalities, similar situation. I think Ryuji and Ito both share their emotions towards others. With an asterisk, Ito shares his emotions through actions, and Ryuji shares his emotions through words. So, like, the path could, like, line up, and then they're gonna be like, hey, I want to share my emotions, but I'm gonna show it to you this way. And Ryuji's gonna say it this way. And they're both choosing to share their emotions, they just do it differently. No matter what happens or how similar people are, there's always going to be something different with the outcome. I don't know if that made sense. Also, hi, Blue. It made sense to me. I see where you guys are coming from, though. And especially because I know that you guys love Persona, and I've heard a lot about Ryuji. I don't know the character, but I've heard a lot about him. And I could see where you guys want this blend, and you want aspects of Ryuji to show up in Ito, and that's perfectly fine. Also, Ito was brought up by Granny Oni, and now Shinobu takes care of him too, so Ito has no large pressure to change the way he is right now, because he has people who like being around him already. True. Love is the biggest understatement, but yeah. There is definitely adoration there, which I totally get. I totally get it. Did I say thank you to Red Snapper for following 25 minutes ago? If I didn't, I'm sorry, and if you're still here, thank you for following. I appreciate you. I'm sorry, I love having these discussions about stories. It makes me really excited. And it also shows that you guys are, you know, it's totally fine that there are people in the community who just want the gameplay and the fighting and the, like, moving, just keep going. That's totally fine, I get that. But I like to have the conversations of those who take a little bit of time to think about the dialogues and the stories and what happens in them. And I feel like we don't have these conversations too much. We have, like, very surface level, like, I really like this about the story, and I hope we see this in the future, and maybe not see this in the future. And then we move on to the next event, the next quest. I feel like this is one of the deepest, at least in recent history. I don't know, we had some deep talks about the Goro hangout recently. But I feel like in the recent times, this is one of the deepest talks we've had. And I love it. I agree, I don't think they're actually identical. I don't think you believe that. For sure. I understand what you guys are saying. Normally around this time you get raided, the conversation gets derailed entirely, rather 20 minutes ago. True, very true. Which I appreciate raids very much. But also, it's really cool that we can have this talk. Deep talks with Grace. I mean, I'm always open for having these talks. As long as they're not spoilers, you know, I'm totally fine with having these conversations. Did you guys already discuss Xiao'ing argument? I loved it. Pretty dope move by the writers. That was a very deep moment. And I think it was a powerful conversation to be an observer of. I think we were very much on the outside, and Travelers said small things in between, but I think we were very much letting the two discuss their perspectives without interjecting our personal thoughts on it too much. And I think that's how we got to see both characters more, and I loved that. We had talks about that yesterday, at least, a bit, yeah. Also loved how the Traveler wasn't in on it too much as well. Yes! I think we were there and it was acknowledged that we were there, but between the two of them, that conversation was so very... This is the decision I want to make and Yelan saying, I understand, but this is not the right choice, and then the two of them just like conversing about that. And the fact that Ito came in only after that conversation was ending, so it was just the two of them and we were observing that moment. I think that was very powerful. I gave him the spotlight for that time, yes. Some people complain about the Traveler not being involved too much, at least yet. To me, that's what makes the Traveler such an interesting character. He's truly a witness like the sibling wants them to be. Yes, and somebody said earlier about how Zhongli used the word witness. I think that is a key point there. They used Ushi in that moment. Yes, the fact that we didn't go run and tell Ito. Or like Ito didn't just happen to hear the conversation and burst through the door and be like, hey, I'm gonna go do this thing now. It was like Ushi was kind of on the outside and Ushi's like, Autobots roll out, tells Ito. Ito takes his time coming in, so we still have that moment. Nothing is detracted from that very powerful conversation. And Ito then reacts after what is said. I think that was powerful. Zhongli even told Zhao that it's okay to say things to the Traveler because they are a witness. I think I need to do Zhao's story, guys. Okay, so coming up soon, I need to do Zhao's story. I feel it's only appropriate to do Zhao's story. Not today, of course, because it's almost 11 p.m. here. But maybe next week I do Zhao's story. Or sometime this week. I don't know if I'll have time because I need to like really get on packing my life. But I feel like this has to come next, don't you think? Traveler doesn't just mean Ether and Lumine, it means us. Yes, thank you for saying that. This is why I always bring Lumine out when we're doing story. Because you guys, I say it a lot, I'm a role player, but I'm also a writer, and you guys know very well, I get very deep into stories. It's not just Genshin. When I'm into a story, I like to reflect and like put myself in the character's shoes to kind of absorb things more, so that I'm more open-minded about what's happening. And I love the fact that we get to play the Traveler. We have all these characters, and we can build all these teams. But at the end of the day in the story, the fact that Traveler comes out and is this reflection of us meeting these people and going through all of this world, I think that's so special. It makes our game experience a little bit more than just playing a game. So I agree. I wish I could casually play Genshin like other games. Have you binging too much? If I had more time, I think I would not stop playing Genshin. So in a way, I'm glad that I am forced to pace myself. I think emotionally, I would still take breaks every now and then because there's a lot. But I'm glad for the pace that I've been going at. And I think, yes, I'm behind on a lot of things. Like I haven't done all these story quests and met all these characters, and then events happen where I have to meet them. I think that's perfect. Because the fact that I had to do Ito's story, well, I didn't have to, but it was recommended, do Ito's story before doing this, leaves it fresh in my mind who Ito is, and now we've developed him more. Just like Raiden Shogun, just like Kokomi. So, I think it's all fit well. Just like meeting Mr. Albedo. I met him right before the start of Shadows Amid Snowstorm event, which is still forever very special to me as my first event. And then Eula we met right after and before the bartending event, so it all fits. My timeline is a little late, quote unquote late, you know, in terms of where other content creators and people playing Genshin are. But my timeline, I think, fits perfectly to where I need to be. Bye, V Iced Mocha. Thank you so much. Much appreciate you being here, and thank you for your perspectives. I hope to see you soon. Have a good night. Happy Sayu sleeps and Ito sleep like a rocks. Doing things faster wouldn't be as good. Yeah. I can binge Genshin, but I choose not to. I don't want to burn out and stop liking the game. Burnout is very real. It does happen. I think it's good that if we do reach that point, there have been times where I'm like, I want to play Genshin, but I'm kind of tired and I don't really want to like dive into something meaningful and deep. So I won't do it. I'll like do my dailies and that's it. And it's perfectly fine. Those are the moments where we have to step back and like go take a breath, experience a different story, go watch a movie, go read a book, do life things, and then the moment where it's like, hey, I kind of miss Genshin a little bit. I kind of miss traveling around. Then come back and, you know, come back and get your heart ripped out all over again. No such thing as late unless it's story content hidden in events, yes. And I think that spurs me to like push through like, hey, I gotta do Ito's story quest so that I can know who this dude is before we go running around the chasm with him. So that fits to me. Sorry, I'm just checking my messages. Alright, sorry, had to check my messages. Lately, most story content is permanent, though. I love that. I think there was a lot of talks about people not being able to do certain things because they haven't reached parts of story, and then it goes away and they can't experience that. So Iridori was great, but it was more foreshadowing than anything, which I kind of loved. I love that we have this permanent Archon story now. But then also, Iridori, you're right. There was a lot of lore. Iridori was fantastic. The fact that there was lore and character development and just progression of like, hey, Inazuma's opening up and these are consequences of that, and also good points. And also, hey, there's this history in this world that ties into specific characters. I think it was very well done. And we have a lot to see about what comes next from there. That's when you first met Ito. Yes, that's when I first met Ito officially. Which, of course, I had heard about Ito. And I knew he was this, you know, very vibrant character. So now, having learned who Ito is and experiencing this very, you know, very powerful event that happened to us all as a group, we were all down there, and seeing how caring Ito is. I love Ito so much. I will be pulling for Ito on the next banner. Will I know how to play Ito? Maybe not. But I love the character, so I'm gonna get him. You know? And I'll learn how to play Ito. He was fun to play in this event, though. A well-built Ito is what I need. A well-built Ushi and Ito. It's like the aftermath of everything that has happened recently. Absolutely. Oh my goodness.